body is constantly speaking to you. It can be a racing heart because you're nervous, or a headache triggered by the pressures of your life. Your body is speaking to you. The question is, are you listening? And what is your body really trying to tell you? Especially if you have a history of chronic pain or illness, it's even more common to try to ignore your body and its messages and instead try to simply push away the symptoms and to numb them. And it's okay because we're all doing our best to get through the day. But if you're ready to really pause, look deeper, and to work with your body to feel better, you are in the right place. To lead the way, we are speaking to Dr. Kim Duramo. Dr. Kim is a physician and author of the Mind Body Toolkit. She is the founder of the American Institute of Mind Body Medicine. She received her board certification in emergency medicine and attended residency in Emory University in Atlanta. Kim assists clients all over the world through her online courses and group retreats, and you can learn more about her and her great work at drkimd.com. Welcome, Dr. Kim. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Jess. I'm really excited to get started.
I'm excited to have you. This is a big topic. Where I'd like to start, though, I want to learn more about you. You started in emergency medicine. So, obviously, this mind body connection isn't something that you hear too often in the hospital. Things are changing now. We're hearing about it more and more. But when did you decide that there was more to know, that we had to look at our emotions and our mind when we're looking to heal the body?
So, for myself, I haven't just always been very intuitive and empathic and able to sense energies, pick up on other people's energies. It became really clear, even before my residency, with just people I've worked with or people I knew, what was really going on in their body, like the deeper messaging, deeper conversation, what their story was, what was happening in there. And it was to such a degree that I didn't understand why other people didn't know that, like people didn't even know what was going on in their own body. Not just that they weren't aware of people around them, they didn't even have awareness in their own body of the records playing and the messages playing and what was really causing illness or causing strife in their life and blockages in their life. So, in my practice of medicine, it became clear really early on that most of the people presenting for medical care had something else going on that was actually the cause of the symptoms and the pain and the illness. Not that it wasn't real, because your cells, your physical body will manifest that as real, but that the underlying cause wasn't primarily an organic medical issue. And that's all there is to it. There was something deeper. And, you know, I wasn't in a forum where I could do a lot about that. Like, we could have a small conversation about it, but most people were coming like, get me out of pain now. I'll deal with the rest later. And so with this insight and awareness, I knew ultimately I would bring my practice to a different kind of forum where I could really help people decipher the deeper root of what's going on so they could heal.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And when you are working with someone for the first time, I think all of us, or most of us at least, can kind of tell how our emotions impact us. We have a hard time in life and suddenly certain symptoms act up, especially those who have an autoimmune disease or a chronic illness, have the experience of having flare ups or having moments when it gets worse under stress. But as you're introducing this new topic and saying, hey guys, we really need to take a step back and we have to look at the emotional component. How do you demystify it so that it doesn't seem too out there and a bit overwhelming?
Yeah, the most important thing is to get present in your body now. Like, feel what's happening physically, because when you tune in to what's happening physically, it will bring you more awareness of what else is going on beneath it. So your body can only live in the now. The mind will project into the future or replaying the past or outside yourself with other people and what do they think of me? But when you access the body and just physically feel your body, ground down into your feet, feel your butt on the seat. Sometimes I'll just touch my neck or touch my arms, skin on skin, to ground myself with my awareness in my body. that gets you in the here and now. It's not always comfortable because like that's the whole reason we go into, trying to manage the future and make sure this doesn't happen or replaying the past and trying to rectify this thing or just escaping what's happening here now. It's uncomfortable or there's pain or there's maybe a sense of like, oh, I'm never going to make it. It's not okay. So we don't actually want to meet those energies. But by bringing your awareness to them is where you access your power to let that resolve. So for me, I always have people like tune into what's happening physically first. And we'll do some tapping with this so that they can become more aware of what's happening energetically. Emotions are energy, thoughts, ideas, beliefs are energy. And you'll feel the sensation of how the body intercepts that or how the body is resonating with that when you tune in physically. So sometimes it's as easy as that is just be here now, bring your attention back from everything outside of you and back into your body right now. And then the awareness can grow from there.
That's so important to remember because, like you said, when your body is in pain, you don't want to connect with your body. Oftentimes, if we have to look at the emotions that are impacting our body, we much rather watch TV most of the time. But we're realizing that if we want to get results, we have to spend time with our body. And what a great way to do that in a softer way. Because if we don't have tapping, I know for me personally, if I didn't have tapping, I don't want to sit my feelings or my pain, but having a technique, using a technique that uses the body makes it so much more easier and even exciting because you begin to see how things begin to unfold. So, we're going to do a lot of tapping, but before I do that, I think one of the challenges when people start to realize that their emotions are having a huge impact on their physical body is that part of them might begin to feel guilty, or another part of them might object and say, wait, this isn't just in my head. This is real. You're telling me it's just my emotions. So, what do you say to someone who's kind of battling and having those thoughts?
That's a huge, huge point because especially when we've dealt with something chronically, we've tried everything we could possibly do. And then someone's like, oh, wait, your emotions are causing this. It feels like you're blaming me. Or, oh, it's just your thoughts and beliefs. It feels like you're taking away the way my experience has been real. It's not just in my head. And it makes us feel, sometimes people like defend the problem. No, this is real because they actually feel threatened by someone telling them like, "Oh no, there's a lot you can do about this." And you're like, "I've already tried everything. How can you possibly put more on me?" But the reality is when we tune in, that alone, just the awareness, right? Like present awareness instead of like, "Oh, I want to escape." I'm willing to just breathe into what I notice now. Just that alone begins to let it dissolve. And that's why with tapping, I always share with people the first piece. We're going to get into what's happening. We're going to connect even just 2%, feeling into the body, relaxing the body so we let the energy come up. So one of the things, like you mentioned, like one thing that can come up is overwhelm with all the gazillion things I'm aware of. Wait, how do I handle it? And if we remember it's only energy, we can let ourselves stay present to it anyway, even though it feels overwhelming, even though we feel powerless to do anything, even though this is the biggest thing I get. I don't know how. I don't know how. Let your higher self take care of that and you just show up and look. So this is the part with just breathing, being present to it. Doesn't mean it's not real, doesn't mean it's your fault. That's a huge one. Like let that go. You're becoming more conscious so you can be aware of what's going on. So I've had a lot of really incredible stories lately where people are having resolution of very, very severe illness. And I know a lot of other doctors, I've heard them say, like, well, this stuff is so powerful. It's amazing. Oh, but if you're really severe, then you have to do blah, 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 blah. Or it has to be medication or it has to be this conventional route. And I have seen the complete opposite that even some of the most severe, severe illnesses MS with one particular woman who was in severe chronic pain every day. They had to move a hospital bed into her dining room and clear out the dining room because for so many months she was like incapacitated. Have a resolution. She's beginning to walk. She is no longer in any pain. She's using a walker, but mobility that they never imagined she'd have. They told her she'd be dead in like 3 months. So even really severe illnesses like that, that are resolving when we allow the underlying energy to move, which is what we're going to do here. Um, I had another woman that was in my programs, and these people had posted in the mind body community. I hadn't even met them, but they're applying this work. They're doing tapping. They're meeting these deeper energies and seeing really profound things happen. She was diagnosed with some strange encephalopathy that they really didn't understand. Had a gazillion food allergies. Couldn't digest her food. They finally put a feeding tube in her body so they could directly feed her because for such a long time she couldn't even eat. Um, Bed bound, completely bed bound, but started to connect with what's going on here. What am I feeling and sensing, and how can I open to let that energy move? And has had a resolution of the illness for the first time in 5 years, got outside of her house. She's in a wheelchair, but not bedbound anymore, moving around, has enough energy to get outside. They removed the feeding tube. She sent me a picture like a week or so ago. I reached out to her about sharing this, and she said, "You wouldn't believe where I am right now. I just came out of surgery and look at this." And had a little cup with a feeding tube in it because they were able to take it out because she's now eating. So major, major improvement. This is not a subtle thing just for those who are not, maybe you don't have a diagnosis. Well, I have a diagnosis, so that's real. Even in that situation, these physical changes are really, really profound and can initiate a profound healing process.
Absolutely. And what I find too that I love about tapping is that when you're going through something, a serious illness, you have to navigate it. And everyone needs to navigate it a little different. No body is exactly the same. And you're dealing with a lot of doctors and you're dealing with a lot of stress and there's a lot of decisions and you have to make decisions about your body when you're already feeling sick and overwhelmed and there's a lot of conflicting information. Now all of a sudden you can do some tapping, you can get back in your body, you can get grounded. And from that place it's so much easier to decide, you know what, this doctor isn't for me. I'm going to go with this other doctor and I'm going to find a middle ground because I want to be clear too that I absolutely love tapping, but I think tapping can assist with whatever you're doing. So you can find a great doctor and you can do a little mix of conventional medicine and also looking at this emotional aspect. There's room for all of this, but only we can make the decisions. And we can only make those decisions when we feel clear and strong enough to make them. Right. So it's like it
Well,
helps
this is
with
the
the
big part
symptoms
with
and it
like,
helps with the decisions.
yes, that's a big, big piece with like other people's point of view. So someone will say to me, well, my doctor told me that da 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 da, this can't change. I have to do this. And they'll feel in their body like, oh, it feels wrong. But then they'll just try to override that. Like, "Oh, I just, I feel so helpless, but I guess I have to do this thing." And if you can let that in, like, well, your body's speaking to you and letting you know, like, this is not actually true for you. When I was diagnosed with a severe autoimmune illness many years back, and they finally, like, made the diagnosis after dozens of doctors had seen me, everything he said to me felt heavy. And I thought, this cannot be my truth. What else is possible for me? And that's really when I started asking better questions like, is this even true for me? Your body will feel a lightness when you begin asking that question, when you begin looking and being willing to let go of everyone else's point of view. You don't have to reject it. You don't have to tell them to change it. You just consider maybe there's something else for me. Is this actually true for me? So tune into your wisdom by just sensing with your body, heavy light. Your body won't lie. And it will feel heavy when you're buying into a lie of, oh, because I have this diagnosis, therefore it means I'll always have this. Or because they're recommending a medication, it means I'm broken. I can't be fixed. There are a lot of conclusions that get made, but if you're tuning in and feeling, your body will let you know, like, no, 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 this is not your truth. So the truth will always feel light. So if even all you do is ask, is this true for me? and you feel a sense of lightness at the possibility of letting it go, your body will guide you into something else. It may be a different practitioner. It may be an alternate version of what they're recommending. It may be none of the above, and you hold your space to open to something else. But if you're not tuning in here and honoring what your body knows, what your wisdom knows, and you're only just looking outside yourself, like that's the truth because he's a doctor or because she's educated this way, or I have to absorb that as if it's my truth, it's going to just weigh you down and feel heavier. Your body knows that's not the highest possibility for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big part is giving us permission to trust ourselves as we navigate this and figure out what's best. I wasn't planning on sharing this, but I wanna if it's okay with you, I wanna share a quick story that comes to mind. I was living in New York City for many years, and I had decided to sell half of my belongings and move to California. It was on a whim. I felt like my intuition was telling me, "You have to shake up your life, you have to do something different." I get to California and I am so incredibly lonely. I am so far from my family, who, as you know, I'm very close with. I don't have any friends. And I thought that I would just adjust quickly, and I wasn't. And I was really struggling. And as I was in California, just questioning my life, I was sick. I was single. I had a big birthday coming up. I started to get really horrible pain. It started to come up slowly. I would happen every few days. It started to get more intense. One day I was just on the ground. I just felt so horrible. Went to a doctor. The doctor said, "You have to go to the hospital." I didn't know anyone, so I had to drive myself to the hospital. Get to the hospital, and they're like, "Okay, we think it might be your appendix. We're gonna do some tests." They don't come up with anything, and I almost wished it was my appendix. I almost wished there was an answer that someone could tell me, like, "Why am I having this really horrible pain?" But they couldn't, and I started going to a doctor who said it was a lower intestinal problem. I started changing my diet, but I wasn't really getting better. Tapping helped me with the pain relief. Tapping helped me with the freak outs, with the, "Oh my goodness," when you have a pain and you don't have answers, you can begin to make it, like, bigger and bigger and bigger in your mind, and you think that your whole life will always be impacted by this. And then I meet my now husband. Then I meet Lucas. The moment I met him, it was like I knew why I went to California. It suddenly felt like I was home, and my pain went away. And it wasn't this pain was real, it wasn't in my head. I mean, I was really nervous about it, but suddenly something shifted in my life, something shifted with my emotions. And I know a big part of the pain was that I had this feeling of not belonging, of suddenly being somewhere where I didn't feel like I fit in and wondering if I made a bad mistake. And suddenly when I got that resolution and that like, "Oh, this is why I'm here," my body got better. And I've heard so many people say that they tap on their body and suddenly they realize, "I hate my job. I have to leave." Or, "I have to make this change in a relationship." Or, it's a life change, and it's like your body is speaking to you saying something needs to change. And I think it's important to remember that sometimes this pain and this illness can actually lead us to greater things. It could lead us to life changes that we might not have made if we didn't have the pain or illness. Have you experienced that with your clients?
This is universal with everyone I've worked with, privately in groups all over the world. When we have a chronic illness that isn't getting better, all the ways we make it wrong, all the ways we make it a problem, all the ways it's more evidence that I'm broken or not doing it right. That's our fabricated experience of it. But what's actually happening is something different. What if life is waking you up to become aware of the ways you're clamping down? Like what you experience is a way the body clenches, like, "Oh, I'm not okay. I got to protect." It triggers the nervous system to shut down. So instead of parasympathetic, which is relaxation response, restoration, digestion, cleansing out the waste, receiving, the nutrients from the food. We're in fight or flight response, which is shuts down digestion, which is why it's affecting your intestines. Um, Shuts down the immune system, right? Because you're like, I'm running from the dragon. I'm running from the tiger. This is not the time to like clean up house and restore. So it shuts down higher thinking, higher awareness. So what happens when we're chronically in that state? And we've seen medically that These are exactly the symptoms that happen, the way the body shuts down and disease develops for like every major chronic illness we know about. When we begin to listen, it will reflect back to us exactly how or where we've shut down in a specific way. So you don't have to become aware of, oh, I'm feeling a sense of I don't belong. You might just become aware of, like, oh, I just feel off. Start there. Like, that's enough. Tune into your body physically even more by relaxing, softening, and then taking some slow, deep breaths, bringing your awareness to your physical body. It's that simple. Like, the softening is the most essential part. And I've seen universally people change a job they hated. I had one woman I was working with privately for a while, and she really didn't like her corporate job, but she was making lots of money. She felt good about herself because no one in her family had done anything like this. She felt a sense of accomplishment. I've taken care of myself. But when it came to this, she had brain fog. She had had a concussion, right? Like, life's hitting her over the head, like, "Wake up," and all these really severe brain fog symptoms. But then she had other things with physical pain in her body, her Achilles, like, she couldn't move forward in her life. That's, like, when you're gonna move forward in your life, specific ways that her body was shutting down and had severe pain. And she finally began to look at what's right about this I'm not getting, right? I'm not functioning in this space of consciousness where I used to function because I'm actually not meant to move forward in that direction. So, what if I let that go, allow a recalibration of who am I really? What do I really care about? What feeds and nurtures me? And that's when she became aware of, like, I can't keep doing my job this way. Then all the fear of, like, how will I make money? How will I support myself? All that secondary stuff comes up, but she was able to, like, relax into it, be still and know. What if I open and trust? So the path is laid before me and it includes being abundantly taken care of, not because my job is my source. Your job's not your source. She let her source be her wisdom. My wisdom is my source. And as I connect into my wisdom and follow the path that feels light and expansive, that my body's my partner leading me on, it created unthinkable things right in the very moment. Her boss told her, "Okay, you can work from home, 3 days a week," a fraction of what she had been working for the exact same pay. She was like, I couldn't even imagine before that this would be possible, but in this new alignment, she's like, "I'm gonna have courage and ask for what is really a yes for me." And then within a short time transitioned out of that corporate job and into doing work she really loves and has, like, really created her life anew. Interestingly, it's around heartful wealth and how connecting with your own inner alignment is what creates wealth in your life. So that's exactly what she has found,
And none of that
external things.
Right, and
It's
none
not
of
your
that would have happened if she hadn't had the physical challenges that led her down that road, and something similar with me, when I would sit and tap on how bad I felt, I did notice the symptoms would get better, but what was interesting is that I was ready to go home. I was ready to fly back to Connecticut, but every time I would tap on how I was feeling and the symptoms, I just had this voice that said, just stay a little longer, don't book that ticket." And, that's how I met my husband and, now have a beautiful son. So it's amazing how some of those moments, if we can look at those moments and say, what is my body telling me? What if my body isn't betraying me with this pain? What if my body is supporting me with this pain and telling me something?
And that's a big scary box to open because so many people, and especially doctors are on board for this, are in this conclusion that your illness is wrong, your illness is bad, your body's betraying you, we've got to whip your body into shape. Even people who aren't sick are in that mindset of, I got to whip my body into shape. Like, your body's not your ally or not on your side, and it's an enemy to fight against. So I will tell you, your illness is not an enemy to fight against. And this whole idea of fighting disease is never, ever going to create health. So, what I've seen again and again, when and how I share, do tapping to nurture your body, do not do tapping to make the problem go away. When you do tapping to make the problem go away, you might intermittently feel a little better, but it will come back and come back and come back. Every time someone says tapping isn't working, That's what I find. They're trying to tap to make something change. So if you let that go and you instead tap to nurture myself, because I know that nurturing myself is what lets my body heal. Nurturing myself is what lets wealth, love, abundance come into my life. So I will tap to meet my pain as it is and give myself love or encouragement, reassurance, tell myself it's okay to be where I am right now. That's what allows these things to neutralize so that health can express.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So with that, let's do some tapping. So, I know already this conversation has inspired many, and I hope it's just getting people to start thinking and exploring. This isn't a moment to get the answers, it's the moment to ask the right questions. So as we're asking questions, we're opening up how can we begin to use tapping to help this process?
Yes. So this is a big point too. Like you're letting your higher power, the wisdom in you, that will do the healing. You do not have to know how, you do not have to do it. You're opening to allow the conditions for that. So we'll start before we go to the karate chop point to
Again, let's do that.
yeah. So feeling your body physically and then just relaxing your breath. And for me, a lot of times I notice my breath is up in my chest and it takes a minute, but sometimes I've got to just like relax my shoulders and immediately the breath will come deeper into my body. So that little check in, let your shoulders relax. So the breath comes all the way down to the belly. You're right. No matter what's coming up for you, you're right in the right place. And then tuning in on a scale of 1 to 10, whatever the trigger is that may be coming up, or maybe not in this moment coming up, but in your routine life around trusting your body, trusting your wisdom. I am guided. What's right about this, I'm not getting. So take your biggest challenge and we're going to go there. And then feeling in a scale of 1 to 10 how severe and intense that's coming up. So 10 out of 10 is like, oh my gosh, I can't hardly stand it. 1 is where it's really, really subtle. You barely notice it. And then noting for yourself. And I love when people comment in the Facebook group because I always go in and I read every single one every year, um, where you are in the beginning and then where you come forward. You can even just share that as you listen to this this video and we're doing this. So breathing into that number and then just start before we tap, taking some breath to be willing to be there, not change it, not fix it, not make it go away. This is the most powerful part of this equation. 3 breaths to notice, whoa, I'm a 4, and oh my gosh, it's intense. Or, oh, I'm a 2 and I don't even want to feel this. Okay, 3 breaths, that's it. I'm willing to be where I am right now. Then we get to the karate chop point. So one hand, both hands together, doesn't matter. Even though I'm feeling so much coming up right now, and you can repeat after me.
Even though I feel so much coming up right now,
I choose to be at peace with what's here.
I choose to be at peace with what's here.
Even though it's so overwhelming in my body,
Even though it's so overwhelming in my body,
I choose to open and look.
I choose to open and look.
Even though I don't know how to do any of this,
Even though I don't know how to do any of this,
I open to my highest wisdom now.
I open to my highest wisdom now.
Good inner eyes. Everything that's going on in my body right now.
Everything that's going on in my body right now,
All right. Everything I'm dealing with
everything I'm dealing with,
under the eye. And I can sense how my body is physicalizing it
and I can sense how my body is physicalizing it,
under the nose, not wanting to be with this
not wanting to be with this.
on the chin. I just want to decipher the code and get out of here
I just want to decipher the code and get out of here.
under the collarbone. But there's something in me to be met first.
There's something in me to be met first.
Under the arm. What if I'm willing to meet the deeper spaces in me?
What if I'm willing to meet the deeper spaces in me?
And top of the head. Could there really be a gift here?
Could there really be a gift here?
Inner eye. This is so awful.
This is so awful.
Outer eye. I don't want to open to this.
I don't want to open to this.
Under the eye. And this is physical and it's real.
And this is physical and it's real.
Under the nose. How could there be deeper energies causing it?
How could there be deeper energies causing it?
On the chin. How could I be powerful enough to access that?
How can I be powerful enough to access that?
Under the collarbone. When I've been taught that I'm powerless.
When I've been taught that I'm powerless.
Under the arm. When I've been taught I'm powerless over my body.
When I've been taught that I'm powerless over my body.
Top of the head. Instead of remembering that my body is responding to me.
Instead of remembering that my body is responding to me.
Inner eye. And as I soften and look and breathe.
And as I soften and look and breathe.
Outer eye. In that moment, my body softens.
In that moment, my body softens.
Under the eye. It opens for healing to happen.
It opens for healing to happen.
Under the nose. It opens for insight to come through.
It opens for insights to come through.
On the chin. Could it really be that easy?
Could it really be that easy?
Under the collarbone. Why have I struggled for so long?
Why have I struggled for so long?
Under the arm. What if I just pause and let that all aside?
What if I pause and let that all aside?
Top of the head. To open and let something unthinkable happen.
To open and let something unthinkable happen.
Good. Now relax and breathe in. And let everything go and breathe out. So notice, just notice, not right or wrong. What's here now? And you can comment and share it. You can get that number now of like 1 to 10. Where's the severity? But any insights, if you just pause in this moment, insights will come through that you wouldn't ordinarily let in.
Now, Dr. Kim, what if someone's doing this tapping and there's an insight that they don't love? So, for example, suddenly they realize, oh, I need to make this life change, or I need to have a difficult conversation with my friend or with this coworker. And so suddenly the topic switches away from their body, right? So it's not the physical pain that's grabbing their focus. It's a certain life event that they're realizing is creating so much stress. How do they then navigate the tapping with that information?
This is really, really important. A powerful piece. When we go to the why, like, why the heck would my body be guiding me through this? I don't even care. I'd rather just get out of pain. You've got to go to something bigger, bigger than you imagined for yourself, for your life, for your money, for your relationships, for your whole experience of the world. All of us, like, listening to this, care deeply about others. Like, you wouldn't be here if you didn't actually care, and and that you're awakening in some way, that it matters how you show up. So go to the big why, because this is not just about your body, and it's not just about like the one thing. It is so universally about everything opening. So sometimes if you just get clear on that, like, okay, what would make it worth going through this holy hell of actually having that conversation, or giving up that thing, or changing and leaving when I feel so scared, a job I don't like, venturing into the unknown. Whoa, there's going to be a larger than life reason. So get clear on that. And I don't mean all the specifics, because you don't ever really know what it's going to look like, but the energy of that greatness, of like the resonance of like, whoa, what would actually make all of this worth having gone through the pain? And then either draw an image of it, or just feel the energy of it, or write down some of the ideas about it, so you have like a hell yes. If it were for this and this, I would say yes and go through whatever I need to go through. Alternatively, get clear on your pain. When you're in your body and you feel how freaking heavy it is to actually keep carrying this, you're like, all right, I'm willing to let this go no matter what that looks like. Life and your guidance is never going to actually ask you to lose something that is meaningful to you. It may let a lot of things go that don't really fit for you anyway, but if you think you need those things, that will feel really rocky. So this process of getting clear on your why, getting more clear on your pain of like staying with this, and then it's just a matter of I ask that I receive the courage. You can tap on that I receive the clarity, the courage that this is actually easy for me. Because the mind is going to tell you it's going to be pain to do that thing or make that call or give up that food or who knows, maybe it's an investment, but it's never true. What your guidance is leading you to is never going to be the unbearable hard thing that you might think it is.
No, it's so important to remember that, and I think I'd love to do some tapping on clarity and courage, just focusing on that. And also, I think it's important to mention just the reminder that you don't have to have all the clarity to be making progress. Because oftentimes it's like you do the tapping, you stay open, and then later you get some inspiration or later something pops up. It's like I feel like the world starts speaking to you differently. You start noticing different things when you're in that state looking for those solutions.
Yes.
And so let's not obsess about getting perfect clarity or obsess about thinking it's one life decision that's causing this chronic pain. Everything, nothing is black and white. We can flow with this. We can flow, we can stay open, we can find relief and see where it leads us. And hopefully, this is just the beginning for so many people.
Yes. Okay, so let's tap on that. So tuning into where in the realm you are with this around making a choice, moving forward, receiving, stepping into the unknown. Maybe you do have the awareness of like what might be ready to be left behind, and it brings up fear. So whatever that might be, or for a lot of people, the idea I've already tried so hard. How can you possibly ask me to stay open? How can you ask me to try? Because this isn't actually about trying. But to stay open lets you receive that this actually can be easy. So whatever that is coming out, get your number for that. And then we're going to tap here. Even though I can't imagine moving forward this way,
Even though I can't imagine moving forward this way,
I love and accept myself as I am.
I love and accept myself as I am.
Even though I do not have clarity,
Even though I do not have clarity,
I choose to embrace myself as I am.
I choose to embrace myself as I am.
Even though it feels like what's being asked of me is so impossible,
Even though it feels like what's being asked of me is so impossible,
I choose to receive peace now.
I choose to receive peace now.
Good. Inner eye, I do not see the path.
I do not see the path.
Outer eye, it's not clear.
It's not clear.
Under the eye, what would it take for me to open?
What would it take for me to open?
Under the nose, and just connect with myself now.
And just connect with myself now.
Good. On the chin, it only needs to be clear for the next 10 seconds.
It only needs to be clear for the next 10 seconds.
Under the collarbone, and then I can go from there.
And then I can go from there.
Under the arm. Right now, I'm clear that I am so unclear.
Right now, I am clear that I am so unclear.
Top of the head. And I'm just going to start with that instead of
And-
rejecting it.
And I'm just going to start with that instead of rejecting it.
Inner eye, opening to the unknown.
Opening to the unknown.
Outer eye, so much fear.
So much fear.
Under the eye, letting go of what I knew
Letting go of what I knew.
that was really not working for me.
That was really not working for me.
Under the nose, and opening into something so scary and uncomfortable.
And opening to something so scary and uncomfortable.
On the chin, what could possibly make it worth it to have gone through this?
What could possibly have made it worth it to go through this?
Under the collarbone, where nothing has made sense.
Where nothing has made sense.
Under the arm, where I have felt powerless.
Where I have felt powerless.
Top of the head, What would it take for me to soften and open anyway?
What would it take for me to soften and open anyway?
Inner eye, is there really higher wisdom that could come through?
Is there really higher wisdom that could come through?
Outer eye, what if I just relax and play along?
What if I just relax and play along?
Under the eye, meeting myself in what's been so painful.
Meeting myself in what's been so painful,
Under the nose, so confusing.
so confusing,
On the chin, and acknowledging the depth of this.
and acknowledging the depth of this,
Under the collarbone, because I am going to stay open.
because I am going to stay open.
Under the arm, I am going to let myself move forward.
I am going to let myself move forward.
Top of the head, and receive the clarity each moment on the way.
And receive the clarity each moment on the way.
Good. Breathing in. And big, huge breath out. Each breath, birth, death, breath. You take that breath in and you let that breath out, and you literally are not the person that you were a minute ago, a moment ago. And you can take that opportunity to let something new be created, or you can recreate the same exact thing over and over. Either way, it doesn't mean you're powerless. So take this opportunity to let that breath be a birth, death, a rebirth, and we're opening to the unknown. Who knows who I am? Who knows what's possible? Who knows what's here? But if we anchor in the heart, we receive the guidance for first just this 10 seconds, and then the next, and then the next, and maybe it's clarity for the next 10 minutes. That's all you need is in this moment now. So feeling what you feel and letting yourself be in that little unknown moment before the world comes back in, so something new gets created.
So powerful. Wow, Dr. Kim. That was big. I mean, even that moment when you're like, I'm clear that I'm not clear. Like, it's like, yeah, that's where you start with where you are. And it's like the moment we can accept where we are, we can accept these feelings. It's like our whole body can exhale. We're not fighting ourselves anymore. We're not fighting life anymore. We let go of that resistance. And that's when we get the ideas. And that's when we're creative and innovative and get that aha moment. And even if that aha moment doesn't come in the moment, we're just with our body, and that is what matters.
Well put. That is what matters. And that's medically shown to dramatically assist healing, not in a subtle way. Like a lot of people think, like, well, my mind medicine, maybe we can try this thing. It's an essential foundation of allowing the body to be fully alive and healthy. So this is what we've seen is you being here now with what is ignites powerfully your immune system to be strong and resilient, allows your digestion to be aligned. You're going to excrete what you don't need. You're going to absorb all the yummy nutrients your body needs, allows your brain function, completely different brain activity, to be harmonic, to access wisdom. There's receptors in the heart that get activated that access higher frequency. So this is no subtle thing. It is major, major power.
So amazing. And we're going to have more within the workbook, all of these tapping meditations as well, because this is a lifestyle now. This is the new way of being with our body because we are with our body for the rest of our lives. So let's learn how to improve that relationship. And I'm so grateful that you've guided us to do that, to accept where we are. Dr. Kim, any last words of wisdom?
Okay. So there is one other thing I wanted to share, and I put it in the workbook because a lot of times people don't know what to tap on. You learn the steps, but actually knowing, digging down, sensing deeply is really the igniter. So I've got like a systematic way of doing that and feeling in physically, which always, when we do that, will connect us more with energetically, emotionally, mentally, what's going on. So we have that in the workbook, but just in short, when we tune in physically and just tap on what you feel physically, and just tap on that sensation, even if it's like just the general heaviness. It will allow you to access what's underneath that. Then you can go to that step and tap on that. This is really how to access your body's wisdom. It is not rocket science. It is not a secret. It's like your body really wants you to awaken to see this so you could move into something so much more expansive, full out living, letting go of the old belief systems and freeing yourself to express who you are. So, a little piece there for you. And if you want to go deeper, the workbook for those who are purchasing the summit, it'll be available as part of that as a bonus to guide you through and going deeper.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for creating this for us and for our time today. I know so many people had breakthroughs. I had breakthroughs as I was tapping. So for those who are watching, share with us. Let me know, what did Dr. Kim say that really touched your heart? What was that big aha moment? And Dr. Kim, I can't thank you enough. This was wonderful.
Thank you, everyone. So much love. Great to be here in video and connect even more deeply this year. And thanks for having me, Jess.